Hello everyone. Our next speaker is Dr. Sahin. He's the founder and CEO of Wearable, and we're going to
Can everyone hear? Even up there in the gallery, right? It's as if it were standing room only and there's a gallery, except there's actually no one sitting, so it is. Thank you, Vikram, for the introduction. Yes, my name is Ned, and I'm founder and CEO of Brainpower, a company that's located right across the street, which is nice. And CIC and surrounded by MIT, which is great because we have some of the brightest minds. These MIT kids, they're amazing working with us. They say that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And so I've surrounded myself by people who are smarter than I am, which is a bit of a managerial nightmare, but it's rewarding, it's exciting. So we're Brainpower, and we've made the world's first computer wearable system for autism. So, first of all, show of hands, who knows exactly what autism is? Good, I'm glad no one, because it's a trick question. No one knows exactly what autism is. And I'm a neuroscientist, PhD and postdoc and all that, and some of my colleagues are world's experts in autism, and nonetheless, I have to be embarrassed and report that we really don't know what it is. And we don't know what autism is scientifically, clinically, from an educational point of view, and so forth. And we're failing these families. We're really not giving them what they need in terms of an answer. And then what's their question? And that's what I set out to find out when I wanted to turn my science into a business. Is this resonating too much? Okay. Anyway, so what is the question that parents have? And to some degree the question is, what happens when I die? What happens to my child when I can no longer provide? And will my child, who's now 2, or 7, or 12, be able to gain self-sufficiency, be a member of society, able to have that satisfaction of independence? And so we need to address questions like that. And the way we address questions like that is with very practical tools geared towards self-sufficiency. And what could that possibly mean? And that's a scientific question, but it's also a sociological question. It's also a question of something quite intangible. Intangible, for instance, like emotions, or understanding when someone is paying attention to you, and knowing what's appropriate for behaviors. So try not to think of autism, think about interview skills. What are the skills that help you get through an interview? Anyone, neurotypical or autistic or with autism. And those are largely the skills that we're addressing here. Eye contact is important. Why is eye contact important? Because if I give you eye contact, you know that I'm paying attention to you, or pretending to. And you'll trust me more. You'll open up and engage with me more. So I'm giving you something, and I'm going to get something from you. It's also a brain question, because my brain, using its external sensor devices like the eyes, can get a lot more information from you if I'm paying attention to your face. Why? Because evolution assembled all that useful information and put it right here. By your eye crease and lip curl, I can know if you're happy or sad or bored or angry or constipated. Who knows? And that's a lot of information to get in one place. So it's actually a brain question. It's not a simple, light-hearted thing. Why should we make eye contact? It gives us information and gives the other some other person something, and gives them information as well. So what do? This device, you've heard of Google Glass. How many people have actually used Google Glass? Come on, we're at MIT, this is a data festival. Wow, not so many people. But a lot of people have opinions about Google Glass even if they didn't use it. And one of their opinions is, oh, that's that yuppie toy, why do people need it? Or it's failing, and so forth. Phones coexisted, smartphones with dumb phones, for 7 to 10 years. CDs with tapes, DVDs with CDs, and so forth. There's a transition period for technology. Also, this is something bold. This is on my face. So that's striking. The Apple is only investing in a watch, and the pocket watch became a wristwatch in 1880. They haven't really innovated very far. So something on the face is a bit innovative, but it's useful. So why would we use this device? And what is this autism thing? I'm going to try to bring these threads together. So what's interesting about this device, first of all, is it's heads up. Right now, there are many pieces of software that are addressed at people with autism, but they're on an iPad, and that incentivizes someone to look down and be in a different world. Whereas in this case, they're looking up. And on top of that, our software specifically addresses some of these social interfacing issues. So one that I just demoed on one of our organizers earlier is a eye contact coach. So when I do this, I say, okay, glass, face game, and I'm going to use my new Greek friend here, and your name is Demos. And as I'm looking at him, I'm seeing him. So I have this other world, but it's an augmented world, because now on his face is a little Olaf character from Frozen. And so if I'm a child, that's funny. And if I was otherwise looking around, not paying as much attention, oh my gosh, there's Olaf, I look. And when I do look, there's little crosshairs, and I get a circle over his face and a point. There's accumulated points in the lower right corner that moves up. It's a very simplified first version of a face contact game that catches someone's attention. Give me your attention, give me your attention. Ooh, you gave me your attention, now you got a point. Okay, I learned that for some reason I'm supposed to look at this person. But now when I do look at the person, what comes next? So first of all, how are we doing that? It's a neat math. We're going frame by frame. It's not actually a video. Taking pictures, looking through the pictures at all possible rectangles, and looking for something that might be a face. 2 points, a line. And when it is, maybe drill in further, see if it's a face. If it is, describe an oval and put a transparent PNG on it, like a cartoon, Angry Bird, Thomas the Train, whatever. And that's running real time enough that this looks like video and doesn't memory crash, doesn't overheat. It gets hot, but it doesn't overheat and stop, etc. Anyway, so the first thing is just catch attention and reward for looking at someone. But now if the child, and people with autism generally have, they struggle to make eye contact. And maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't find the relevant information. Maybe since they didn't yesterday, what's the benefit of doing it today? Since they wouldn't have had the accumulated statistical learnings about the mapping between a face and the likely next action, which is what we're doing. So we give a decode. One of the things you get out of looking at someone in the face is their emotional state. Are they happy or sad? So then we use a face analysis engine that looks for the smiles and the facial gestures. And then I get a little emoticon floating next to people's face. And it says happy or sad or angry. And now I'm looking and I'm getting this assistive information. So this is a child or an adult with autism who's not used to figuring out what someone else is thinking or feeling. And I get that in real time in my own private world. You don't have to know that I'm getting an assist. The boyfriend doesn't have to know what the girlfriend is trying to see. Is he really into me? The boyfriend doesn't have to, the girlfriend doesn't have to know that the boyfriend is looking and desperately trying to figure out, is she angry or can I get away with this? Right? Because what I'm doing there is saying that it's not just for someone with autism, it's for anyone. These are tools that are like interview tools. How many times does anyone here have to remind yourself if someone's talking, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to look at them. Oh, I'm not sure what this person is thinking, feeling. And I would guess I would like some help on that. It becomes even more important cross-culturally. I look at someone else who's very, flamboyant and making a lot of gestures, maybe from Greece, maybe from Italy. And then there's someone who's more stoic and Scandinavian, from Korea, and I'm not seeing as much going on. How do I know which person is actually having more of an emotional state, emotional upswing? It's hard to tell because there are these cultural things. So if we can compare that to standardized norms, it becomes better. And so this, step one is just looking, then 2 is getting an assist. 3 becomes a game where when they look, they actually see 2 alternative emoticons and have to choose. We use the accelerometer, and they just move their head and choose right or left, happy or sad. And that way they get feedback. We know, are they getting it? Are they getting better? The person is getting feedback. I'm seeing, well, that was wrong. I thought I was surprised. I guess it was anger. And then you can scroll. This is one of the mechanisms you use with glass. You can speak to it, you can scroll and tap. I can scroll back and see something from yesterday. Someone else's face. Oh, that was deemed angry. Wonder why. Try it again. Retake the quiz. See that moment. And then it's just facial gestures. We're in development. Next stages include tone of voice, which tends to change with emotions. Keywords, like, I am so upset. People actually tend to say these things. And since this is for the home environment of a teacher, this is not like to go out there and be a CIA, like, face reader or something. This is just to get by. The likelihood is that people have their very particular, very obvious ways of displaying their emotional states. So that's some of the things we do. So how can we do that? Yes, it has a camera, it has a microchip, and it has the ability to process and so forth. So what else is inside this? Even those who haven't used it, you know what's in there? So I'll just say rather than quiz. But there's a camera here that looks at your eye and tells when you're blinking. There's an accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer that tells you 100 times a second where you're moving your head. And there's all the processing hardware and so forth, and bone conduction speaker and microphone, and Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, and so forth. There's actually a lot in there. So people, and especially people with autism, tend to get quite upset at transitions or certain environmental perturbations like noises and bright lights. They might go into a distressed state or even a meltdown. So we can ask scientifically, what preceded that meltdown? 5 minutes, precedent to thousands of behavioral episodes. What happened? And what do you mean what happened? Well, first of all, what was their blink rate? What was their breathing rate, measured by the accelerometer as they breathe, and the microphone as they make the sound of breathing? So, internal states. What about external states? Tap into train schedules. Tap into Google Maps. Tap into Yelp ratings about restaurants where they happen to be. So now this starts to become, how does this touch the Internet of Things? So now this thing, living on that child becomes a node, it's a network of all children or adults, and it taps into those other networks. So that precedent to a meltdown, it's recording the ambient sound, it's recording the ambient light changes, but it's also finding out what else is going on. Was there a train coming by? Is it underneath? Where's the sound? So this becomes a neuropredictive algorithm, or the ability to have neuropredictive algorithms for behaviors, for human behaviors, for a human as a node in a larger network. So that 5 different times some mom walked into a restaurant and the child really wigged out. Same time on Tuesday, or just before this same event that she couldn't predict, and the system really had no way of knowing otherwise. And then eventually the system says, there's something wrong here and then. So the 6th person gets a warning, don't go into that restaurant at 3. It's a nightmare there. We don't need to go to Yelp. We don't need to have a person writing there and saying there's something wrong here. In the same way that phones moving along the roads of the world give us traffic reports passively. People with something on them can give reports passively into the system about situations that are not conducive to someone with autism. And again, I'm focusing on autism, but you can see how this extends beyond. One thing that parents have told me is they worry about their children wandering. Children tend to dart off, right? You know that. But children with autism, even more so, because a lot of these things often the environment might be very interesting. And maybe have a little less desire to stay with the social environment. But importantly, many people with autism have mild or minimal language ability. And then that gets even harder when they're in a stranger environment. So they can't say where they live, what their name is, and get themselves home. And they tend to be attracted also sometimes to bodies of water, unguarded pools or lakes. structured and rhythmic and repetitive and calming and deadly. So parents are deathly worried about their children wandering off. Some parents have told me that they dress their kids literally with bells on, like funny clothes, makes noise, shoes that light up when you walk, so they can see them so others can see them. That's not very good for that kid's social life. Again, practical tools. So what would you want? At the first blush, you want LoJack for your kid. If you're younger, you don't know what LoJack is. It's a way of putting a device in your car, so if someone steals it, you know where it is and it comes back to you. So this, again, it has GPS and or it accesses a phone. This becomes an on-body ecosystem that is location aware. So now mom is doing her thing, maybe she got a little distracted, and little Johnny darted off, and she gets an alert to her phone. He's outside the geofence. So now this is a thing in a network of things, and it's accessing other data, like local Wi-Fi net, or it's hitting the cellular network and getting location. So she finds out he's gone. Access Google Maps, she knows where he is. Drill in with Google Maps, not just where he is, but is he near a power station? Is he near a highway? Or is he in an open field? Level of danger. Now while he's gone, and this right now assumes that he's keeping the device on, and that can be an issue, but they do a lot more than you might think. Keeping the device on, suddenly it's speaking to him. He's gone far, and it has that phone conduction speaker right there. So it speaks as if into his head, he's hearing mom saying, Johnny, come home. I got your cookies, your favorite cookies, come on home. So she can speak to him, but that's like pre-recorded. And then she can press that button and speak to him directly. Push to talk. And then one of the final cool things is not only that, but she can activate this camera remotely. So she sees what he sees. So mom is aware of where her child is, sees his environment. If there are threats, can speak to him and ask him to come home. And then the GPS can guide him home. And not just guide like turn right, turn left, but cartoon character dancing off screen, really follows the cartoon character, follows, and it guides him. And there are things there because he's a thing in the network. It's accessing all the other data stores that are out there. It gets more and more useful the more data stores that we touch. And then each person is giving off what happened that led him to dart off, what happened that led him to have a meltdown. And these learnings go out to the group, processed on our servers eventually, and then come back to the individuals. That's still down the road in development. We're working still on the basic tools, but that's what we're up to. Things are going well. We have some, about a couple million, few in government grants and some support from Google. We've had about 200 press articles written about us. We have people who want to invest, but we don't want that right now. We're about to do crowdfunding. But we're at that critical stage right now. We're recruiting. We need Android programmers. We need someone to help us interface with iOS for the phone app. We need UX quite a lot. We've employed people with autism, so we get that insight from in the company. And we have a vibrant young team, a lot of interns, and we're just across the street, as I say. But so we're at this juncture where we're about to go to the crowd and do the crowdfunding, and that's nerve-wracking. And we definitely need to hire. But if this is the kind of thing that excites you, let me know. I want feedback. I'm about to open it for questions.